Greetings, community. I don't know about all of you, but I've had a busy week here in London. Why? Lots of people, more talk than I'd like, which, despite being a known windbag, is a preference for no talk at all. And I put that down to the rotten English weather. It's been raining every day for over 2 months. I can't enjoy being out. Worse, I can't get away from people inside. Yes, we dismiss the weather in the modern insulated, centrally heated West, but wind, sky and rain remain our masters. Sure, we don't often get slurped up in mudslides or starve in drought, but we get stuck, a kind of COVID light. So, how do you find out what you want to know when you can't go look for yourself? Do you turn to broadcast news? I don't think that's going to work. Just a week ago, entire pages on the internet, everywhere you'd look, from the BBC News, they were locked down bogged in with the network's overreaction to their own sports presenter, Gary Lineker, having tweeted his disgust at a UK government plan to turn refugees into criminals. And I guess some of them were anyway. He made a comparison with Nazi Germany's laws. Now, that will always get you in trouble, and maybe unreasonably so. One could say that 1930s German technical advances were ahead at the time. I don't mean just rockets and things. In 1933, for example, the first automatic public telex system it was a trial run by the German Reich mail system, with the help of the Siemens company. But it is surely true, never say anything positive in public about the Reich administration. I wouldn't. Now, when you think of Deutsche Hollerin, Maschinengesellschaft, they had a punch card system for that 1939 census. It was really like an effective national computer, and quite impressive. The Holmeg was an IBM subsidiary operating in Germany. It was a little too bad about the undesirables being punched out. So, don't look too closely at anything if you want an easy life. And nothing good about the crowds. Anyway, the football commentator Gary was defending the boat people arriving on Britain's southern shores. Well, the truth is, by the time they get to the White Cliffs of Dover, it's the UK Rescue Service that has them all glittered up in heat-keeping plastic blankets, as crinkly golden things. And that led to one of my favourite pictures of the week. It's the guy on a boat, inbound, saved. He can't believe his luck. Everything's going to plan. Now, I know a lot of people have it against the Afghanis, Iraqis and Syrians landing here to be, well, as they see it, a drain on the state. No job lined up. His hand out. But this is one of the many Albanians coming from France across the Channel who already has a job. Thank God for that. He even has a sponsor. It's, I think, something like over half are Albanians. They've got to France, but they love here. Anyway, the job that this particular fellow had, I could tell, and confirmed, he was he would be night nursing a marijuana grow for 6 months. And after he met his commitment to his travel debts, he'll be a free man and likely available 24/7 with bang and shine, as the texts seem to read every Friday night. So, old Smiley there with the beard, he's no leech. You've got to love that smile. I'm waiting for you. I love you all. Hello. If you don't like the mainstream news, you could try listening to early release editions of my videos. even as you watch this now, possibly, there are patrons of this channel, that's my channel, watching the preview of Letting Go, a new video from me suggesting it's not always such a bad thing to be forced into dumping your old life for a new one. Some of the patrons choose to give just $2 a month. I must say I don't quite get that, but they still get the previews sometimes. There's a link below to my Patreon service if you want to be one of the few. And it might be some advantage if one of these days should alien invasion actually happen. And I know I'm ready for it. Can't wait. I've got a few scores to settle with the aliens as it is. God and everything. Anyway, I'm not really fussed about the Patreon thing, but I tell you what, if I was a regular YouTube viewer, I'd have to, well, I have to be. I've got no choice. And I pay for YouTube Premium. This will sound like an ad, but it's not. I just couldn't stand watching all those ads. Went for a measly, whatever it is, $12 or pounds a month. No ads. Except for the plugs within the videos, but that's not an ad. I suppose some people can put up with all of that, but it does astonish me that something like less than 10% of YouTube viewers worldwide are willing to pay a little bit to get out of it. Anyway, a lot of those people blame me for that. All those ads, they say. I suppose people feel they pay a lot as it is. I pay for Amazon Prime TV, which is some free stuff, but mostly tries to push me to take out other subscriptions like Discovery Plus, National Geo, Paramount and Disney. And even paying through that Fire Stick, I still get ads with Amazon's freebie programming. And really, for what? I tried to watch Prime's Everything, Everywhere, All at Once in one session, but I had to drop out after 40 minutes. It's childish, hysteric nonsense. It's a cartoon, almost unwatchable. I can only think it was a very bad year for movies when the Oscar voters had to take what they could in that. So, instead, I shelled out £17 last night to watch, well, a first-run, 48-hour only rental of The Whale. Now, okay, Brendan Fraser does a fine acting job, oozed into, 300-pound fat suit. But keep in mind, The Whale is taken from a stage play, and it's a very stagey stage play at that, with the stage left door banging open with cute characters every 5 seconds. A pretty Mormon, a flaky daughter, and an aggressive sister of Fat Boy's dead gay lover, if I've got that right. I may have mixed up who's supposed to be cute. But it doesn't matter. Well, after an hour, you really hope that the next time the living room door lunge open, it'll be a most welcome axe-murderer. You'll find yourself just as trapped on stage in that one room as Chubby was, reaching for your own Zimmer frame. So, there's Snaffle to watch, but there's comedy in the news, if you look. One of the funniest stories locally is the tale of Eleanor Williams, who reported being kidnapped by an Asian gang who raped her, sold her at a slave auction, and subjected her to torture. I know it doesn't sound hilarious, does it? But the events around it, this mostly centred on the small Cumbrian community of Barrow over the last few years. And the 22-year-old complainant was actually in court a couple of weeks ago and was Ellie getting justice against her attackers. Not exactly. The case had become a complete circus. Now, I don't usually have much sympathy for police, but in this case, nothing they could do would go well for them. And there were protests that they hadn't acted fast enough to save her. Ms. Williams posted pictures of herself on Facebook, sporting bruises and facial scratches. sure. Just one young man had been arrested, charged, and held in prison for 73 days. And banged up, he said, with another sex offender because he was declared so. And the supposed boss of the Asian crime gang, Mohammed Ramzan, who Miss Williams claimed to have worked for as a tart, was accused of grooming her from the age of 12 and putting her to work, oh, that's right, in the brothels of Amsterdam. He said he had received countless death threats. On social media, well, you're nobody unless you're threatened on social media. Please threaten me with something or other. Bad meal, something I really care about. By the way, there was the Justice for Ellie Facebook group that had more than 100,000 followers. I think a couple of known celebrity half-wits from somewhere jumped to her support. And she was also joined by the anti-Islamist English Defence League, the founder, Tommy Robertson. But even Tommy became a little suspicious. Mo Ramzan was just an ice cream van man. Ellie had faked the entire story. She was spotted on CCTV buying the hammer with which she applied her injuries. Though they must have hurt, I've got to say that. Although she claimed she was being raped by men in Blackpool, but inquiries found she'd stayed in a hotel alone, bought a pot noodle, and watched YouTube. It's a close circle, isn't it? Just last week she was sentenced to 8.5 years for being a very big fibber. The odd thing is that she began this hobby at 16 with fake rape allegations. Her mother says she has no understanding why. It makes you wonder why the police arrested this guy when they thought how can they win, Me too. So, what's a good theory on her motives? Let's blame YouTube, shall we, for putting pressure on young people to have extraordinary lives, extraordinary stories. Now, this circus, this tale, would make a fine little black comedy, don't you think? And I'm guessing it will be filmed sometime, just after the appeal. Unfortunately, the movie won't, as I see it, be very entertaining, set in such a small community in Barrow. That story of quixotic little community, it's been done before, too provincial. I'm sure with the right actors it could have its moments, but just the fact that it happened is enough for me. Have you got a story about, say, some lie getting out of hand and upending a small community? Well, the story goes national. It's a big ask, but if you can think of something, let me know. If you were telling the story, Ellie's, would you tell it through a reporter, the right-wing fake fanatic Tommy, or the young guy locked up with perverts, or the ice cream van man? I think you know who I'm for. Be the ice cream man. Your answer will tell you loads about yourself. No, some answers don't tell you a damn thing about yourself, except you're full of bollocks. Anyway, Moscow, I agreed to record the audio narration of the Three Little Pigs and Big Bad Wolf story for the little audio library of a small primary school in the middle of nowhere. A very weak moment when I agreed to that one. Incidentally, when I was flipping my printouts on that, I asked ChatPGT for 10 variations on that very theme of that story. I'll give you just 4 that I remember that the algorithm came up with. It was 3 little fishes and the big bad shark, unexpected. 3 little turtles and the big bad crocodile. Ooh, sound of those teeth in that shell. The 3 little guinea pigs and the big bad ferret. Apparently that's what most of us would come up with when thinking of guinea pigs, ferrets. But the most interesting AI selection was the three little bees and the big bad bear. Bears like honey. Oh, I get it, but it's AI business. But it's not really the kind of general AI. It's just a talk fest. What's that? You want a video of me explaining how the whole thing works? Love to. Anyway, since the AI program drew on our internet pages for inspiration, it's just really a reflection of what we all talk like. Now, have you got anything interesting you would ask that ChatGPT for? I'd like to know what you think. Keep it short, though. So, that's my little community service for today, which I might throw up as a video. It's a little tedious, but there we are. And why did I do it at all? Oh, I wanted to let you know that if you had absolutely no sense whatsoever, you could get me a day off work by being a Patreon, and I'll make better videos. I would hope so, anyway. That's true. The things I'm so far behind. Look, I'm going to come up. I've got a whole lot of photos that are really worth taking a look at, and I'll just waffle over the top of them. All right? Now, I got a feeling if you're still with me, it's bedtime. Certainly is for me, and I won't be watching my Fire Stick, powered by a little crappy Asus computer in there. Good night, community.